Dhatra krita nishchaya Kalina dharma mitrena Drishtva sprishta praja bhuvi Sarve tam anu nirjagmur Bhratra krita nishchaya Kalina dharma mitrena Drishtva sprishta praja bhuvi Sarve tam anu nirjagmur Bhratra krita nishchaya Kalina dharma mitrena Drishtva sprishta praja bhuvi. One chanter. Sarve tam anu nirjagmur Bhratara krita nishchaya Kalina dharma mitrena Drishtva sprashta praja bhuvi. Sarve, all his younger brothers. Tam, him. Anu nirjagmu, left home by following the elder. Bhratra, brothers. Krita nishchayaha, decidedly. Kalina, by the age of Kali. Adharma, principle of irreligion. Mitrena, by the friend. Drishtva, observing. Sprishta, having overtaken. Praja, all citizens. Bhuvi, on the earth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The younger brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthir observed that the age of Kali had already arrived throughout the world and that the citizens of the kingdom were already affected by irreligious practice. Therefore, they decided to follow in the footsteps of their elder brother. Purport: the younger brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthir were already obedient followers of the great emperor, and they had sufficiently been trained to know the ultimate goal of life. They therefore decidedly followed their eldest brother in rendering devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna. According to the principles of Sanatan Dharma, one must retire from family life after half the duration of life is finished and must engage himself in self-realization. But the question of engaging oneself is not always decided. Sometimes retired men are bewildered about how to engage themselves for the last days of life. Here is a decision by authorities like the Pandavas. All of them engage themselves in favorably culturing the devotional service of the Lord, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to Swami Sridhar, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, or fruitive activities, philosophical speculations, and salvation, as conceived by several persons, are not the ultimate goal of life. They are more or less practiced by persons who have no information of the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is already indicated by the Lord Himself in the Bhagavad Gita 1864, and the Pandavas were intelligent enough to follow it without hesitation. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm feeling so much bliss today in morning program and Bhagavatam because the more devotees join, the more blissful it is. So today we have so many devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam class and the morning program. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. So spiritual life is always increasing in bliss. This spiritual bliss never goes down, it always increases. The more we serve Srimad Bhagavatam, the more we receive association of devotees. The more we receive association of devotees, the more we are encouraged, inspired to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this verse today, we are reading this chapter, the Pandavas retired timely. From the beginning of this chapter, Maharaj Yudhishthir was waiting for his brother Arjuna to return with the news of Lord Krishna and Yadu family. And when he sees the inauspicious signs of Kali Yuga, he was anticipating that Lord Krishna has left the planet. And that time Arjuna returned and he gave him the news of Lord Krishna's departure. So Maharaj Yudhishthir decided to leave his earthly kingdom and go to the north, following the footsteps of the previous great teachers. He became like a madman to the outside world. He stopped talking and he stopped listening to anything. He was completely absorbed in the thought of Parbrahman or Lord Shri Krishna, as explained in the last text. So, seeing the situation of Maharaj Yudhishthir, even his brothers, Maharaj Yudhishthir's brothers Bhimsen, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadev, they followed the footsteps of his elder brother. So we can learn a lot from this purport. Prabhupada talks about the signs of Kali Yuga, that how do we understand that Kali Yuga has arrived. Some of them have been explained in the earlier verses in this chapter, and I connected two more shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam. First is found in the first chapter of this first canto, which is the problem statement given by the sages in Naimisharanya to Suta Goswami. So it is 1-1-10 for anybody who is keeping score. Prayan alpayusha sabhya kalau asmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upadruta. This is the characteristics of men in Kali Yuga. They are almost always prayana, almost always the short duration of life. We see people living bodies even 40s, 50s. It has become so common. And many people don't see the light. I mean, the embryo is killed in the womb. Yeah. What to speak of coming out and taking birth. This is because of Kali Yuga. In the earlier ages, people were cultured enough to let the life come on its own accord. And then, because we are not the one who are giving the life, so we should not be the ones to take away the life from somebody. So, short duration of life. Manda, they are lazy for even material duties. We see most of the people are in modes of passion and ignorance. What to speak of going to the mode of goodness. Sumanda Mateo, they are misguided. Even if they are in the mode of passion, they want to do something productive with their life, still they are misguided. People who are the leaders of the society, they tell them, earn more money, get more sense gratification, show yourself as a very advanced personality, as a very refined personality, even though you are not. You don't have to be honest. Fake it until you make it. Yeah. So these are the things that we see in our leaders, we see in the society. So we are misguided, even if we want to be productive. There are universities, people go there so that they can make a successful career, they can have a successful life. But we see so many PhDs coming out from these universities. Still, they are miserable. These, the most educated class, the most intellectual class, they are not happy in their life. How can we expect happiness for a general man, general person, ordinary person? So that's because of misguided. Even if you want to make good use of your life, still they are misguided. Then there's mandabhagya, they're unlucky. Suppose you want to go into the mode of goodness, um, you might not find the right teacher, you might not find the right philosophy. There are so many so-called spiritual organizations, new age, new age spiritual organizations, which call themselves as their religion. One of my, I think it was Avnish Pro, some devotee was telling me when we was going on a freeway, there was adopt a highway, and one highway was adopted by atheist or united, atheist united. So there are organizations built specifically to deny the existence of God. There is the science group, right? The science Scientology. So they don't have any scriptural basis. People come up with their own religion. So even if you want to go understand the mode of goodness, the purpose of life beyond eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, still there are so many other people who will misguide you. What to speak of Mayavad and impersonalist views. Even if a person gets a bona fide spiritual organization, they come to Krishna consciousness, they find a Vaishnav Sampradaya where they understand that the purpose of human life is to serve Vishnu. Na te vidu swarth gatim hi Vishnu. So one should understand that the real swartha, the real benefit of human life is to satisfy Vishnu. Such a person who is trying to practice, he is almost always disturbed. We see Jash Prabhu, he has his PhD. His advisor called him last night. So he was talking for 3 hours. We have late night meetings, overseas meetings. We have to take of those calls, product releases. Even if one is trying to practice, still one is disturbed. So Kali Yuga is full of faults. In another verse that Shukdev Goswami gives in 12th canto about the qualities of Kali Yuga. Tataschanu dhinam dharma. This is 12:2:1. Tataschanu dhinam dharma satyam shaucham shamadaya kalena balina rajan nangshyati ayur balam smriti. Day after day, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy will decrease by the force of time. O King Parikshit, and people will reduce in duration of life, strength, and memory. So we can see these characteristics. So Shukdev Goswami is not a religious fanatic. He is giving 4 characteristics of religion, which is Satyam, Shaucham, Shama, Daya. That is truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, and mercy. These are the 4 pillars of religion. So we are not saying that this religion or that religion is declined, so this is Kali Yuga. But it is based on the qualities, the characteristics of people: truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy. So we see meat eating, we see intoxication, we see illicit sex, we see gambling. So these are breaking these 4 principles of religion, which these 4 are considered to be normal, or these are required for a person to live happily. This is the characteristics of Kali Yuga. And of course, we see people reducing in memory. We have Chat GPT now. I mean, earlier people used to at least code themselves. Now, for coding, also we have AI. So, people are reducing in their memory. Earlier, there was no GPS. people would use maps, or they will remember the directions. But now we can't do anything. We can't go anywhere to GPS. Myself, I have been here for 10 years. I still use the GPS to go to maybe 2-3 miles away when I go to Trader Joe's or Walmart. So it's so bad, so much dependence on technology. So these are the different characteristics of Kali Yuga that Maharaj Yudhishthira observed, and also was observed by the brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthira, and they decided to leave, following the footsteps of his brother, elder brother. Prabhupada is saying in the purport that one must retire from family life after half the duration of life is finished and must engage himself in self-realization. So from the actuary tables, how long a person lives, 60, 70, 80, depending upon one's lifestyle. So one should see what is half of one's life, and then one should plan to finish the business by that time, whatever obligations we have, responsibilities we have. That's why we need this training of brahmacharya ashram, where we can make the best use of this human society. We are trained in our mind, in our body, in our heart, to make the best use of this human life. This is given in many verses again and again, that human life is so precious. One must make the best use of this opportunity. Prahlad Maharaj says, Kumaram acharet pragnya dharman bhagavataniha durlabham manusham janma tadapi adhruvam arthadam. That Komaram is at the age of 5, one should begin practicing Krishna consciousness. Komaram acharet pragnya dharman bhagavataniha. This Bhagavad dharma one should start practicing. Durlabham manusham janma. The human birth is so rare. Tadapi adhruvam arthadam. Although it is temporary, but one can make the permanent solution of this cycle of birth and death. So knowing this clearly every day, one should again be determined to make the best use of human life. So here we see that word Kritanishchaya. Kritanishchaya. Krishna used this word in Bhagavad Gita also. Yuddhaya Kritanishchaya. He was inspiring Arjuna in chapter 2, text 37. Krishna is saying, without considering the results, do it as a duty. Even if you are successful or fail, don't worry, but get up and fight. If we are determined to do something, we will do it, unless we will do it irrespective of the results. Another place it is used in Bhagavad Gita is Yatatma Drid Nishchaya. So one must practice devotional life with Drid Nishchaya. Drid means firm, Nishchaya, determination. So knowing this unstable material world and permanent spiritual gifts or opulences, one should be very determined to practice this path. That's why we have this daily morning program. We revive our consciousness every day. We understand that material world is temporary, spiritual world is permanent, and we have this human birth to make the best use of it. So knowing this, the Bhratras, the brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthira, they are already trained in the ultimate goal of life. So seeing their brother, they are following in his footsteps. So I was saying, what does Nishchaya mean? Ni means into or down, and Chi means to settle or determine. Nishchaya, it comes from that. To be firmly fixed in something. Just like when we want to put a pole strongly, we put it really, we dig a really deep hole, and we put it like that, then it will be strong. Similarly for the foundation of a building. Otherwise, when the wind comes, just like there's a apartment right next to us, so they have a sign, for their apartment, but because of the winds, it is lying down flat. So because it is not strong, the determination is not strong. So if we want to do anything, the determination has to go deep in the heart. So every day we have to revive that relationships. Every day we have to pour water on that creeper so that the roots become stronger and stronger. Every day we have to associate with devotees so that we are getting strength from the group. Just like His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj gives the example of redwood trees in Muir Woods. They are very tall trees and they are standing for thousands of years. But their roots are not very deep. How can they sustain so many storms, wind, huge winds? So they studied that these roots go down and then um, they make network with the other roots from the other trees. So all forest, all these trees are connected to each other. That is called the power of cooperation or existing together, unity. So similarly, Krishna consciousness can be practiced if we are practicing it together. So rising early, going to morning program, going to bed early. We need to see examples in front of us. We need to get inspired and encouraged. We need great prasadam, Vishal Prabhu. Then we can do this. We need nice mridanga players like Advait Prabhu. And we need somebody like Avnish Prabhu to feed with so much love. And Jesh Prabhu to bring nice groceries and clean for us. So then we can do this. Adinath Krishna Prabhu bringing nice fruits for us. And of course, so it's a teamwork. So, towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada says the ultimate goal of life is already indicated by the Lord Himself in the Bhagavad Gita 1864. So, maybe we can read those verses by Lord Krishna, 1864 Bhagavad Gita. Anybody would like to read 1864? Translation.
Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit.
And purport.
The Lord has given Arjuna knowledge that is confidential, knowledge of Brahman, and still more confidential, knowledge of the super soul within everyone's heart. And now he is giving the most confidential part of knowledge. Just surrender to the Supreme Personality of God. At the end of the ninth chapter, he has said, Man mana, just think of me. The same instruction is repeated here to stress the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This essence is not understood by a common man, but by one who is actually very dear to Krishna, a pure devotee of Krishna. This is the most important instruction in all Vedic literature. What Krishna is saying in this connection is the most essential part of knowledge, and it should be carried out not only by Arjuna, but by all living entities.
And 1865.
Always seek with thee, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
And the purport.
Purport. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he'll be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. This most confidential part of the knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he's the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and attain the same perfection as Arjuna. These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, a bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms, as Vishnu, Narayan, Rama, Varaha, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So one should understand the instability of the material world. There's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are 4 ways by which we can understand how this world is temporary. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 19, 17. Shruti pratyakshamaytiham anumanam chatushayam pramaneshu anavasthanat vikalpat sa virajyate. From the 4 types of evidence, Vedic knowledge, direct experience, traditional wisdom, and logical induction, one can understand the temporary, insubstantial situation of the material world, by which one becomes detached from the duality of this world. This world always have duality. There is happiness, there is distress, there are promotions, there are people getting fired, layoffs. One have maybe have good relationships, good parents. One may not have a good spouse. One may have good relationships, one may not have a good job, one may have a good job, one may not have a good health. So there are always dualities in this world, but one should get detached from the duality of this world, knowing that this is temporary. And then one should look for something which is eternal. So Ishopnishad mantra 10 describes about let me see, Ishop 10. Yeah. अन्याद एवाहुर विद्यया अन्यद आहुर avidyaya iti shushrumadhiranam yenastad vichachakshire. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. Mantra 11. Only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So many times devotees uh, may feel that why do I even have to understand about this material world? We can just give it up altogether. But it is important to understand both nescience and knowledge side by side. Once burnt, twice shy. Is that right? So it is important to get this heat from the material world so that we don't want to come back here again. It's very important. And Prabhupada gives this example of his son who was trying to touch a fan. And Prabhupada was trying to stop him, but he was not stopping. And Prabhupada's friend said, let him touch once. So then he reduced the speed of the fan and he allowed him to touch. Bang! There was so after that he did not want to touch himself. So it is good in one way that we are learning how material world is temporary, how it is so painful, because then we will have this experience with us. We won't desire it again. We won't try to lord it over again. And at the same time, one should cultivate the knowledge of transcendental world. So Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport to 1865 or in 1864, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. There are different levels of realizations. So in our day-to-day life, we need both kinds of knowledge. When we see something painful in the material world, we understand its insubstantiality, and we become more firm and determined that ultimate goal of life is to satisfy Krishna. Nothing else will work here. There have been so many leaders who have tried to make this world a beautiful place to live. The American dream, pursuit of happiness, Mahatma Gandhi trying to make um, maybe peace between India and Pakistan, but he was shot by his own countrymen. So many people trying to fix this situation, but this world is beyond repair, cannot be fixed. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalam Ashashvatam, that this world is meant to give us miseries. And this, even if you feel that you are happy, you are comfy, you have more than $10 million in your bank account and you are safe, but it is not going to stay. It is ashashvatam. It's temporary. So this is how we understand nescience and knowledge side by side. And then one can become nishchaya. So as Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan nishchayat dhairyat tat tat karma pravartanat. Nectar of Instruction 3, one should have enthusiasm, determination, and patience. These are the 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non devotees, and following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. So we see Nishchaya is part of it. To be determined, one has to constantly cultivate spiritual knowledge, seeing the 2 sides of the coin constantly. And then there are few beautiful verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. I won't go into them because we are already at 8:10. We'll stop here. If we have any questions, reflections, or questions, we can take them now for a few minutes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Yes, anybody has any question or reflections, in person or online? Yes, Vishal Prabhu. Vivek.
Vivek Ramaswamy, the politician.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
So in that the
Politician from
US. Trump's.
US.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in that the people who are interviewing him are surprised that he's vegetarian. He does not drink coffee. He does not drink alcohol. And they were actually surprised that such a person can even exist. So that is how deeply ingrained all of these have become in the society. And it was funny because even I generally don't read YouTube comments, but I just read for that. Everybody were saying the same thing. How has our society fallen like so low that a person is like honest, he's vegetarian and he's not consuming alcohol, and we are even questioning that. Like, how low have we fallen?
Exactly. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, in the divine and demoniac, there's 16 chapters. So one of the demoniac quality is to see religion as irreligion and to see irreligion as religion. To not know what is right and what is wrong. That is the quality of demoniac. Then so how can we expect peace and harmony in such a world? Thank you. Yes, Advait.
Third verse says a man being association of non-believers.
Yes.
Like we try to like avoid like hanging out with them because like we can't avoid them in like school, work, other places.
Yeah, very good question. What does it mean to abandon the association of non-devotees? Can we see the meaning of abandon? Let's see. What does it mean? So my understanding from the lectures is that we do not give our heart to them. Of course, we have to associate with them, but we do not associate so that we imbibe their mood. But yeah, let's see what's the meaning of abandon.
To me, verb cease to support or look after someone, desert. To give up completely a course of action, a practice, or a way of thinking.
Cease to support or desert someone. Yeah. So one understanding is that we abandon those relationships, for example, friends which are acquaintances or friends which are just meant, those people are not devotees, they are not inclined to devotional service. So we better abandon them. And then there are duties where it is obligation for us. For example, going to school, going to work, going for book distribution. So we have to associate with them, but we are not doing it in the mood of imbibing their mood or their way of life. Of course, we can learn from every living entity. Every living entity has some or good some or the other good qualities that we can utilize in Krishna's service. Chanakya Pandit says that one should be ready to pick up the gold even if it is in a stool pit. So one, because everybody is living entity, part and parcel of Krishna, we can always imbibe some good quality. For example, if a person is really passionate about something, we can use that passion. We can how I can become so enthusiastic for Krishna consciousness. Just like we know the story of Bilva Mangal Thakur, when he was so much craving to meet his lover, beloved, that prostitute, Chintamani. Even when his father died, he he wanted to leave. He didn't even want to perform the final rites, but he just finished it in haste. It was raining heavily. It was storm, but he crossed over the river, hanging on to a dead body, a corpse, and then he climbed a snake. Using a snake, he climbed the window so that he could meet his beloved, the prostitute. So we can, even though this is externally so bad, of course, we don't want to follow this person in life. But then when Chintamani told um, Bilva Mangal Thakur, if you would have been so much sincere and enthusiastic to find Krishna, you would have already found him. And that time Bilva Mangal Thakur revived his consciousness from past life and he left everything. And he went for searching Krishna. So we can see, we can learn these kind of qualities from others, but we don't want to imbibe their mood. Thank you. Yes.
Sangat Tyana is the only thing that's mentioned in both the verses, second and third. So, what the previous was true, the six unpaid activities. Now, what is
Prajal,
how to begin? Jana Sangascha. It is said you should not have Jana Sangascha, you should not have association with people. And in the next verse it says Sangatyana Chaturthi. So it's like repeated because
repeated.
of the emphasis that Rupa Goswami wanted to have to give to Jiva Goswami that among all the 12, two are saved. One is avoid and give up.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
of the emphasis of how important it is.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay, we'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.